So, I love coming on the Tuesdays and talking a little bit about what we cover in the men's group the day before. And because we have such great topics, we have so many men that join in with great topics. And our topic last night was asking the question, do you react or do you respond? And which is the direction that we should take as a man? So, welcome to Live Intensely with John and Sandy. I'm John. You have me today, so talking a little bit about the men's group, and so yeah, when you think about men, and I think back to some of the men in my family that really I just you recognize almost this presence. There's men that you walk into a room and you recognize a presence about. You recognize this clarity, this courage, this intensity about them. And it's not from their physical attraction. I mean, typically they're in good shape, but they're not. It's not what we think with action movies. We think of big hulking people, and big hulking guy with a chiseled chest, and that's the man. And you walk in the room, and that's always the man. But it's more the energy. It's more the energetic that they bring. That there are men, and I remember my great uncle was one of these men that even in 95 years old in a nursing home, you could go in that room and you could feel his presence as a man. And man, that's something that women find so incredibly attractive. Is that and sometimes we get confused because we think, oh, it's the bad guy energy, it's this, it's that. No, it's that confidence, it's that assuredness, it's that direction, it's that I know what I'm going to get, and I'm going to go get it. That intensity that it brings. And so one of the things that we've talked about, I have a great friend of mine, G.S. Youngblood, who wrote a book called The Masculine Relationship, and he talks about this as well. But one of the things that we spoke about is the difference in men between in how they respond. A true man responds as opposed to reacting. Now, look, there's always going to be things that we react in just because we have to make a very quick, rapid decision. But one of the things that really empowers us as men is to be able to pause and take a moment to think about between what just happened and how we want to move forward. And we do this on varying degrees. I know even in my own life, I've done this on varying degrees between when I've been in a situation where I have a moment to think about it. I would say that reflects much more my better half, and not even think about it, not even get my head, but just really feel into it, really feel into what's going on. And then also getting into situations where you're just boom, 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 react, right? You're just coming in and something's coming in, you're reacting. A lot of times with men, we spoke about this in the group last night, a lot of time with men, that happens when we get into a defensive mode, when we're with our partner and our partner's starting to challenge something on us, and we immediately become defensive about it. So the question is, how as men do we become better at responding, and how do we minimize the reacting? And one of the things that came up, hey, Kimberly, see Kimberly Larson, awesome. One of the things that came up is that, we recognize the impact that this has on our partner, because a lot of times we don't. A lot of times we're raised as men and we get into a situation that we start to react to, and we don't really recognize the impact that it has on our partner whenever we just react and we start getting back into this, right? A lot of times we get back to this tip for that discussion, right? And someone's saying this, and you're already in your head thinking the bullet point list of what am I going to come back with and what am I going to do? And it really makes our partners feel very unsafe, right? They feel like they can't be honest with their emotions around us. They can't be true with how they're feeling. That instead of being with a man, again, it's that energetic thing. Instead of feeling like they're with a man that is confident and moving forward and has an intensity towards what he wants to achieve, they're with a boy that's just reacting and trying to counteract you and tell you you're wrong, and not really solving anything, not letting them feel safe, not letting them feel safe about their emotions. And we as the men last night on Men Ignited, we had a great discussion about the impact that this has, right? And where we can see this in our own lives, where this is played out. And so we really began to discuss, what does it look like? What does it look like as a man to respond? And so a couple of things I'll throw out just to kind of share some teaching moments and some stories and things like that as well is, I actually had an assignment once from a teacher to watch Godfather 2. And I'm not saying that, we all need to model ourselves after the Godfather, but there was a presence that he brought that when he was in you'd see him in a meeting, in a discussion with people, And there was one scene, I think, where he's trying to get an alcohol license, and he's telling the senators, like, oh, you're never going to get it, you're never going to get it. And he pauses, and he looks at the senator, and he's like, no, Senator, you're going to get me that license. And not only that, you're going to pay for it for me. And it was just this power of, no, I know exactly what's going to happen. I know what we're going to do, and this is what's going to happen going forward. And that statement, that response, when we can bring that to our partners, brings so much comfort, brings so much safety and security to them, right? And on the flip side, when we don't do that, right, when we get into reactive mode, we get into a fight and we're just coming back and we're responding and we're throwing things out, that's when we get ourselves into a deeper problem. That's when we get ourselves into a situation our partners don't feel safe. So I know we spoke about this a little bit last week, but again, a couple of things that really come up. I mean, the first thing is the embodiment piece, just training your body, and this all takes training, man. This all takes training to be able to not go into reactive mode, to not close off, to not shut down, but to be able to really respond to what our partner's trying to tell us. And the first thing, one of the first things that came up of our discussion is really just checking, it's the embodiment piece of it, right? It's checking your body. How are you showing up? How are you standing? Are your shoulders, your arms crossed? Are you hunched in? Are your shoulders back? Are you standing forward? Are you breathing deep into your belly? And just do that to get your physiology in shape so that you aren't having your body's not having a reaction that's causing you to shut down and causing everything to shut down. So that's kind of step number one. And then the second step is really understanding, a lot of times when your woman brings something up to you, your partner brings something up to you, when she's in her feminine, her heart is open, it's really coming out not so much because they are coming after you, right? And a lot of times it's because they see a truth that we don't necessarily see. They see that we aren't fully in our presence, we aren't living out our purpose fully, that we aren't really doing what we're meant to achieve. And so as a result, they feel pain. And that pain comes out across, and it can come out a number of different ways. I mean, sometimes it feels like whack-a-mole as a guy, that things are just coming up, all these issues from the past and everything. But it's typically coming up because they're feeling some pain, because they see us not living up to our purpose. They see something that we can't, and I've had a teacher describe this almost they're our oracle. They're telling us that something is wrong. It's also, I use the analogy, it's the check engine light. Something's wrong. And the error codes coming up may not necessarily be the error code, the actual problem, but that check engine light, our partner in our relationship is telling us something's going on, something isn't right, you need to do something differently. So instead of getting into a reactive mode of, okay, something's coming in, let me counter it, let me prove them wrong, let me tell them what's going on, can you shift it? Check your posture, get in your posture first off, and then secondly, just think, is there truth to this? Is there something that she's sharing with me that is actually truth? Is there something that she's sharing with me that is actually real in this situation? Right, and then being able to respond from that position as opposed to just a reaction. And then finally, the final thing that really comes out is, being able to really just recognize the impact that this has had in the past and understand that by shutting down, by reacting, by not letting your partner feel safe, what you're doing is you're actually making her feel even less safe when the time that she wants your safety. So if you can look at this as, it's not a matter of trying to shut it down and end it and get away from the situation, but really an opportunity to lean into it, to step forward, to really feel and provide that safety for your partner so she feels safe and she feels like she can safely discuss her emotions, share her emotions, she can safely discuss what she's seeing is possibly off in the relationship. That is a huge gift to your relationship when you do that. So anyway, just a couple of tips. I love the Men Ignited groups. They're great. We get a great group of men together and we talk about these things, so it's fantastic. I always love coming on the next day and kind of talking a little bit about what we discussed in a way that keeps your confidentiality, but shares with other men and women out there what's going on. So anyway, we love hearing from you all. We'd love to hear more. If you have topics that you'd love for us to come up, questions that you love, I know, send those in because we've covered some of those as well. And absolutely love hearing from you all. I love hearing you sharing this as well. So if you find value in this, please share, forward this, and share out to others. And like the page, you'll get notified when we're on in the future. All right, thanks so much. Have a wonderful day. Take care.